What is going on, everyone? This is Duffball Game. Welcome back to Farm Sim 17. I think this would be episode 17. I think, maybe, not sure. There. Get him going. And then we're going to unload our truck there. Start the engine, get it warmed up. It may look like it's summer here, but it's actually sort of fall, and snow might be. It's gonna be really cold here in Germany, but anyway, so I recently learned, I recently learned that most of my old videos, you could barely hear me at all. First thing I'm gonna say is, oh, I'll fix the mic speaker. I can't right now. That's just a fact. I can't do it right now. I don't have the money. But what I am gonna say is, oh shit, no, that's not what I'm gonna say. I am going to do a separate rant, or yes, I will be doing a rant. Yeah, sweet. Anyway, I'm gonna be doing a rant in the second part, or actually no, it'll probably start this part and go on through the second part, maybe, because that entire video I did on rant and everything for like Farm Sim, apparently you just couldn't hear me at all. So I'm gonna sort of redo that, and it's probably gonna be in different words. Alright, truck is unloaded. I like that track. Anyway, so for starters, I'm gonna set us a little goal. I feel 7. I don't know how much money it is, but we're gonna keep a $150,000 sort of limit. Like I'm not allowed to go under. Okay. So I'm gonna make enough money for Battlefield without spending all of our cash, just in case we need it for an emergency. A mod corrupts my game and I'm rid of it or something like that. Anyway, case get lower. X not. Hey, I'm learning my controller finally. Anyway, so to start off the rant again. See this combine? And it's a little hard to see from here, but if you look here, right where the auger is right now, there's a little sort of rusty thing in the bushes. That's a cart. Farm Sim 17 did a lot of amazing things that I never expected to happen. They've improved animals, they've improved the crop growth, the textures for the game, the fertilizing, and the amount of equipment available to you at the very beginning of the game. And so I have to commend them at the beginning of this, because it's going to sound like I'm dissing them the entire time, but they actually did a really, really good job with Farm 17. I really enjoy it, and it's probably one of the first farming simulators that I've played more than 30 hours of, and I haven't just dropped it off again and started playing something else instead. I still play this often on my own time, and I'm happy to do YouTube playing this game. great. I'm just gonna say that. It's great. But me as a farmer, I have some issues with the game. First of all, I'm gonna start off with grass or hay and how you feed cows and sheep. First of all, sheep eat the same thing as cows. There you go. Second of all, you do not mow the grass. In Germany, you might mow the grass, but they tried to make an American game, right? In America, you don't use large mounted tractor mowers. You don't mow your hay with this over-glorified lawnmower. What you do is you have a swather, which has a, well, for hay, normally it's a 15 to 25 foot header on the front that cuts it down and lays it in the swath. It's got a big reel like this combine does, and it pulls the hay in and uses a big knife like the combine does at the bottom, or with a whole lot of sections, they call it, to cut down the hay, and it's much more efficient than using a mower like that. There are no swathers in this game. Actually, I have one. I can show you as a mod. It's still wrong. It'll be in mowers actually. Mowers. Here we go. The John Deere W260 windrower, and they call it a windrower, but really it's a swather. But technically, it's not a swather because they put a fucking mower on the front of it. Anyway, so yeah, you did hay wrong. Good. Second thing, grain bin. This has aggravated me since the game came out. There is no option to buy American-style grain bins. I've never seen anyone use silos like that in America, except for in like the 60s or the 70s even. Anyone who farms now uses bins, which are, if you don't know what that is, you can all you play later. They're basically these large, sort of, well, it's like take a paper cup shaped like a cone, right? Make it a little shorter, but keep the width on the rim so it looks sort of like a fat cone. Now, a cylinder on top of that. That's the same radius as the diameter, or it's the same diameter as the diameter of the rim of the cone. This is plain. And then put another cone on top of it. And then on the bottom put some supports so that the cone isn't sitting on the ground, it's actually standing up so that the cone weighs off the ground. You have a grain bin. They're much better at holding grain than silos. They're much more efficient. You don't need some ridiculous system to get your grain up into the silos like you do with that. They've got like built-in elevator auger. All you need to do is take a grain bin, slide it to where you want it, and it's sitting there. And then you get an auger, you put it over top the grain bin in the hole, and you empty your grain into it. And then once you want your grain out, excuse me, you put an auger under the bin, and it augers out. You didn't do that, guys. You put in your shitty silos that nobody likes. And the most unrealistic way of unloading into those silos that I've ever seen. A grate as if it's a freaking elevator. Like 90% of farmers don't have enough money to put elevator contraptions in there. And by elevator I mean like grain elevators, so like the big grain storage places where they load trains and stuff, buy and sell your grain. Anyway, no one has enough money to set that up on their own personal farm. So like a bin is $25,000 maybe. Oh. Crap. Wait. There we go. Anyway, yeah, a bin is like $25,000, whereas those silos would be multiple hundred thousand. Anyway, that's all I'm gonna say for bins. Now, moving on to my main point. Tractor and money regression game. See this the tractors we have? The base tractor is $45,000. See that? You see that, right? Alright. $45,000 is barely as much as I make harvesting this field. Probably. And you're expecting me to buy that shitty tractor? Like, it has 88 horsepower. The second biggest cultivator in the game requires 40 more, or 32 more, and it's still a 3 meter. This one requires 160 horsepower. This one requires 205, and it's barely 3.8 meters, or it's barely 1.8 meters longer than the three base cultivators, or yeah, three base cultivators. So I have to go and buy a $87,000 tractor to run a $20,000 cultivator. That's not fun. That's not okay. It's just not how farming works. If you have a tiny cultivator like that, first of all, it doesn't need 150 horsepower, and it's not so heavy that your tractor does a wheelie every time you frickin' use it with that. That's not how the system works, Giants. Believe it or not. And that brings me to tractor selection. See that little Lamborghini there? It's doing its job just fine. You know how much it was? $6,000. See, you know what I wish Giants would do is they would make fuel deplete a lot faster so that you had to refuel more. And some tractors are more efficient on fuel than others, and some have larger fuel tanks than others. So all of this is bringing me to my main point. Oh wait, no, I've got one more thing. Repairs. If you run into something, you should have to repair it. If you're harvesting and a rock gets caught in the rock catcher of the header and ends up breaking a section on the knife, you should have to repair it. If a pulley snaps on a harvester, you have to get a new pulley, etc. If your tire randomly goes flat, you don't pay a maintenance cost per day. You legitimately go out and get a new tire and put it on. So, maintenance stuff, Giants, even if it's only on the hard mode, or if you can turn it off and on, it's still huge. It's a huge aspect of farming. We spend months getting our machines ready before we harvest or before we seed, and you're telling me that I can bypass that with an average daily running cost? You're really funny. Cracking me up here. And I'm in its way. Anyway, going on. If we had maintenance, higher fuel cost, if the fields cost a little bit less, if you could rent fields, if you're, if everything was better and all those physics, we could do this. Hear me out. Old machinery. Now I understand they put in 3, possibly 4, I'm not sure I've got the greatest memory on this, possibly 4 old tractors in the game. But, okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 old tractors. and they're all over $45,000. They all have a cab, and they all have terrible horsepower rates. So what I'm thinking is you start off with $20,000, and you have to run a farm off that. What do? You buy a combine, right? Well, you probably wouldn't even have enough to buy the combine I'm using right now. Oh, but this is from the 1960s. Of course you would. You would buy something like this, or you might buy a slightly newer pull-behind combine. Not many of you have probably heard of them, because they're basically extinct. What they are is, it's a thrashing machine on a chassis with a hitch and a PTO, which is a power takeoff, in other words, a drive shaft that runs all of the hydraulics and the gears, pulleys in a piece of machinery. You've probably seen it in farming simulator. It's the yellow tube that runs from the back of the tractor to the implement. If you're using a seeder or something else like that, that's a PTO. Normally in America they're black. Anyway, you buy a pull behind combine. Alright, so you have your combine. You've got $10,000. I need a tractor. What do? Well, you can't really rent a decent tractor for 10 grand still. Well, you probably could if you knew something. Go to a dealer and they're gonna pay you, and they're gonna make you pay about $10,000 to rent the tractor. I don't want to spend all my money, so what do? I go and buy a $5,000 Case IH 2090 that I found on Kijiji or something. It's got 50 to 70 horsepower. It goes 40 kilometers an hour. It's got 3 gears, 3 power shifts per gear, front loader, and it'll run a pull behind combine perfectly fine. And it's a decent sized tractor. It's not even big as, or it's bigger than that Lamborghini actually. If I had editing skills, I would pull one up. I need the tractor. So I'll probably pull one up for you guys. A picture of one front loader, and it's the tractor that I have on our farm. Alright, that's great. So you have a tractor and a combine for $15,000. Now what do? I don't have a vehicle to transport my grain. Oh, well, you can go and buy some rust bucket used for Scrap or Restore International KB 170 or something, KB 250 from some guy who runs a scrapyard. And it doesn't run the TLC, but that's $550 you spent, and you've only had to spend another $1,000 putting gas in it, changing the spark plug, draining the motor oil, putting the motor oil in it, greasing up all the grease nipples, yes, we're called grease nipples, and you've got yourself a grain truck. Now, how I ration out all of this is old machines are bad on fuel. Unlike this Dawn thing here, it's legitimately so good on fuel, I'm wondering if it's even from the 1960s. So, old machines are bad on fuel. Combines like this, typically, like you see those things that are moving in there, those are called sieves. When a sieve shakes, basically what it's doing is it's shaking all of the grain out of the head of the plant, and it's letting all of the stalk and the stubble fall out the back and be blown back by the fans, and all of the grain gets called the sieve, the collection pan, and it gets compared to the auger, and then it's augered into the hopper. This combine will not be too efficient, and even on combines in modern days, sieves are wrecked all the time. I've had to replace 3 of them in my lifetime, and I've only started like actually doing work in the shop maybe 2 years ago. And they're the hardest thing to replace on a combine, I swear to God. So, sieves. Oh, and it's not spelled like SIV, it's SIEVE, so it's spelled sieve. Some people call it a sieve. Anyway, those sieves they're always going to lose a little bit of grain. Even on combines from 2016, you're losing a little bit of grain out the back of the combine because it's just not going to sieve. The holes are too big. Either the holes are too small, or they don't shake fast enough, they don't shake hard enough, or the fans are blowing too hard and you can't set them, or something is going to go wrong. And with this old technology, it's terrible how much grain you lose at the back of the machinery. And there's the complete opposite of that. The sieves are shaking too slow, the stubble and all the stalks fall into the sieves when they go up the auger and they fill up the grain bin, and all of a sudden you have a whole bunch of crap mixed into your grain. Well, how are you going to remedy that? I don't know. Buy a better combine? Yeah, we don't have enough money to do that. So what happens then? You have a crappy combine, but you were able to start out. Holy crap, that was near perfect. Anyway, but you were able to start out farming. How it just boggles my mind how Giants neglected the ability here to put in literally hundreds and hundreds of new pieces of new machinery, old cultivators, old harrows, old behind combines even. Those would have been amazing for a small map like this even, and like old trucks like this Gauze, and even though it's a German or Russian truck, sorry. I think this is a Gauze. Either that or a Maz. Gauze. That's Russian, but I can tell it's Gauze. That's a couple. And I got it wrong here. Anyway, it's just like, and if you had the repairs in, combines break down, their parts are expensive. Especially finding parts for an older combine, you might be out of work for a week, and you might have to bring it into the shop and maybe hire someone else to do the job for you, or rent a combine, or something like that. And I might end up driving around with it. Actually, no. There's another episode. What am I talking about? Oh, I can't go there. And it's just a whole lot of missed opportunity for Giants for implementing things into their game that made it amazing. Because you could go and buy a case TC650 off from an auction. They took it from an auction, by the way, from an auction, and it doesn't run. So the price is down a little bit just because it doesn't run. The moment you buy it, you buy it and you find out all it needs is an oil tank and a spare spark plugs. That's perfect. It's a cheap combine that works, but it's not efficient, loses grain out of the back of the vehicle, and you're just getting lower yields for your crop. So I think all these things could have been implemented to be just to make the game so much more playable and to give you a sense of accomplishment. When I play the game and when I don't just sell all the vehicles, get some mods, play with some mods, take out a big loan and buy a bit better vehicles. I've been playing for 30 plus hours on one of my maps, and the best tractor I have, it's the second best Massey Ferguson, which is a it's this tractor. It's not even it's the second best best Massey Ferguson. Like, it's only got 210 horsepower, which apparently is only enough to haul this cultivator I make with this. Um, yeah, and that thing costs like $220,000. Well, if you're starting out with what you do on the main map, the Goldcrest Valley map, you're never gonna make $220,000 in 30 hours of playing unless you take out a loan, gold nugget. And if you drive your truck everywhere and you're wasting fuel and you're it's just you're selling on low prices and it's just not logical. What I would rather do is go and buy an older piece of equipment that has a chance of breaking down, maintenance costs are there, and that's going to use more fuel, so the fuel cost is there. So over a long term, it's going to be a more expensive vehicle to run, but for now, it's a cheaper alternative. It here. I'm actually going to end the video and start the second part. The rant is going to start up right from where it left off. So what we're going to do is dump this, see which grain is the best price. We're going to sell one of the 2 grains that we harvested off the fields today, and I'll be right back. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you